Hi, this is Kyle Hebert. I played older Gohan from the Dragon Ball franchise, Kamina from Gurren Lagann, Professor Oak from Pokemon Origins, Fat Gum from My Hero Academia, and I'm an anime maverick.
From the land of crazy hairstyles and overly ridiculous weapons, it's time for the Anime Mavericks podcast. And now, here they are, your Anime Mavericks.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Anime Mavericks podcast, the official anime podcast of RVT. We want to thank you guys once again for joining us here this week on The Shades.
I'm Yummy Angie.
And I'm Mike Schill.
We, of course, are your Anime Mavericks, and we're here to bring you all the anime news, reviews, and interviews that you crave. And speaking of interviews, tonight is another special occasion here, ladies and gentlemen, because we have with us a very special guest. In fact, a full circle moment, if you will. For those who don't know the history, back when we were the Rising Sun podcast, on our very first episode, literally episode 1 of the Rising Sun, we had a guest with us that day, and that guest now returns over 10 years later to join us once more. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kyle Hebert. Kyle, how we doing?
Hey, doing fantastic. Still alive after 10 years. That's a good thing.
And still looking as good as ever. The big bald badass himself. So how has it been over the last 10 years?
Golly, in 10 years, I have added a lot of things to my resume.
To say the least.
Golly, let's see. Big life changes. My daughter graduated high school. I got married. My career is still going on because of COVID. This is one of the industries that has had to adapt and is surviving, actually. We're able to record all our projects from home nowadays. And here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's scary to think how everything has changed just in the last year alone, not to mention the last 10 years. But
True fact.
There's so many series we could just open up about, considering what you've done. Because obviously we know you are the man for Dragon Ball, the narrator, and of course Gohan. But now recently you can add stuff like, of course, we already talked about Kamina, because that is one of my favorite shows, bar none. My man.
Awesome.
Indeed. In fact, actually, true fact, at one point when I was doing live action videos, there goes my phone. When I was doing live action videos, I had a pair of sunglasses that were based on the Kamina shades. Full, straight out, just red tint instead of orange.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Full on Squirtle, right?
Yeah, the Squirtle Squad, yes. And then, of course, now we can add stuff like, we mentioned Fat Gum from Hiroaka, which is the big thing right now, the #1 thing in town. And, of course, joining the ever-popular JoJo franchise is Kakyoin.
Indeed. No one just deflects the Emerald Splash.
No one except for Dio.
There's that.
But, you've had your hand in pretty much every big franchise in anime. Naruto, Bleach. I'm pretty sure you've even been in One Piece at one point. What is there anything you haven't done yet?
Let's see. I'm not in Batman. I'm not in Star Wars. I mean, these are bucket list things. So yeah, I mean, it was never the plan to I'm going to do this, except in a general sort of way. But yeah, I'll take it. And actually, One Piece, I have a recurring role as Capone. He comes, he goes, and he's just there for a little bit, and then he'll go away for years, and then he comes back, and he's there for a little bit, and then he goes away for years. People who read the manga and actually keep up, because I refuse to start a show that has over 900 episodes. I just can't.
No.
But I know how fiercely faithful and dedicated the One Piece fandom is. And I can rely on them to tell me, it's like, oh yeah, Capone's got some good stuff coming up. I'm like, when? Eventually. I'm like, oh, okay. So, luckily, I'm not just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. I'm continuing to audition almost on a daily basis for all sorts of projects. And nowadays, Netflix has been acquiring titles from around the world, and then they've been doing an English dub for these too. So not just anime, but live action too. And then Crunchyroll has some shows going, and of course, the video games aren't never showing a sign of slowing. If anything, they're just going through the roof in popularity, which is fantastic.
Good Lord, yeah. And
yeah.
Ryu is not dying anytime soon, that's for sure.
Right, yeah. It may be a decade before we see another Street Fighter game. I honestly don't know, but people will know it and they remember it. Just kind of like Dragon Ball. It never truly goes away. It's always seeping into the mass pop culture consciousness.
Speaking of...
Did you ever see this happening for yourself when you were Squeegee?
Oh, God.
Oh, Squeegee. Squeegee, my old DJ name, Squeege, was on Radio Disney. That is where I came from as far as my introduction to voice acting in 2000. I was doing a DJ gig on the radio for kids radio from 1996 to 2005, and halfway through that I heard about auditions, go into Funimation, and that changed my world, man. Got onto a show I was already a fan of, and that unlocked a career that's all led to this. And it is amazing. It has been an amazing journey, and it feels so good to literally achieve a childhood dream of mine.
Yeah, and as I recall, you did not make that journey alone. Your co-host at the time later would join as well as Kara Edwards.
Correct. Who would go on to do Videl and Goten, and even on Super has done. And she transitioned from a radio career as well into full-time voiceover. She started the voiceover thing a lot sooner than I did. But yeah, it's wild. Everyone is busy with their own lives and everything, but we're all keeping tabs on each other on social media and celebrating everyone's success, and it's pretty wild.
Absolutely. It's fun to see how things have been going on with everything going down. Though one thing I want to bring up is that of a lot of the voice actors of your generation, I guess would be the best way to put it, you were one of the first ones to jump in on the internet bandwagon, because you started the Big Ball broadcast, of course, and you were already getting involved in the internet community a lot sooner than VAs were at the time, and now everyone else is doing the same thing. You feel like you were a pioneer in that regard, right?
I feel like, it's like been there, done that. I was doing live streams. Now it's so regular on YouTube and Twitch. And back in the day, things like Stickam and Ustream and streaming direct to YouTube and all that. I've seen iterations, and I still talk to fans who have been there from the beginning, from my old message boards on my old website, which still exists, but my message board is now a Discord. But yeah. I am jumping all over social media, and when technology comes along, I am ready to just put my grubby little hands into it and see what we can do. I love technology. I love interacting with fans, and that's where we are today with the Twitch thing, is taking a hobby, video games, and trying to make up for the lack of conventions now, since obviously that's a risk. But everyone can stay home and watch pretty much their favorite voice actors. A ton of voice actors have been on Twitch for a long time. I'm one of the newer ones, I guess.
Yeah, that's the one time where you actually fell a little bit behind, but not by much. And you,
yeah.
and now, and actually, I remember one of your fans on Twitter actually put together a whole list, and there goes my hands, a whole list of VAs who are doing Twitch stuff. It's scary how many of them have been doing it lately.
Yeah, and Alejandro Saab has been doing 10 years, I believe, and
yeah, he was doing
some of these folks. I mean, they built up such a following. It's amazing. And then another passion, a hobby passion of mine is watching wrestling, in particular, All Elite Wrestling. So I see a lot of wrestlers on there that are also gamers, and a lot of them follow me. And in fact, I did some Twitch alerts for Kip Sabian, and golly, it's wild. Sammy Guevara. I've done some VO for his vlogs, and it's like this is cool. And Chris Jericho, he follows me. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, didn't he retweet something of yours? Didn't he retweet something of yours if I remember
He
correctly.
he did. Yeah, he did, because there was doing something called the Judas Challenge. Judas
That's
is this
right,
big
the Judas
intro
Challenge.
song that everyone sings along. So I did a version of the DBZ narrator singing along to Judas, and yeah, he reshared that, and All Elite Wrestling reshared it as well. And yeah, that was different. I thought, okay, I'll put this out there. I have no expectations, but it went a little crazy. So I'm very happy
a
about
tad,
that. Obviously,
just a tad.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to our buddy Maddie. He just actually restarted his wrestling podcast last night. I'm sure he'd love to have you on to talk the business on that one.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm not one to. I mean, I was into WWE the past few years, and then it got a little stale, in my opinion. So All Elite
A
comes
little?
along, and yeah,
Damn.
All Elite had the edge, definitely. So I've been a hardcore fan since the beginning. I've watched every pay-per-view. I tune in every Wednesday on TNT. I watch AEW Dark on YouTube. I'm following, man.
Yeah, they'll definitely want to talk shop with you on that one. But we did get a question from one of our fans, Slick Rick, in the chat. What is it like when you're doing a dub for a video game project and then being brought back for the project when it's given an anime adaptation for the same role?
That is a gift that keeps on giving. When people say, "What's your favorite gig?" I'll say, "Job security." That's my favorite project I've ever worked on. You know, it's like, oh, I come back? Sweet. And I'm yeah, it's always great news, not just because, oh, I'm going to get paid, but, you know, it really, this comes from, oh, I get to revisit this character and play in that playground again. And it's cool. It's really cool, since we never really get to go back and revisit and redub things that we kind of wish we could, like, except for Dragon Ball Z Kai. That was a rare instance where we were able to take our expertise and experience in the industry since a lot of us started on DBZ, and now we're all better actors. So I always implore people who wrote off DBZ Kai and say, I just prefer old school Z. It's like, well, watch Kai from a different perspective, from the acting, and just see what you think. Just give it a try. And because I think everyone has come a long way performance wise, and we definitely are at a place where we just inherently know these characters. It's almost like the show directs itself. Really, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, you already know what you're supposed to do. You already know what you're going to do. Anyway, Mike, you're going to say something?
Yeah, DBZ Kai. All Z, less filler.
Yeah. Just when I thought there's not going to be Saiyaman gets written off as like the Jar Jar Binks of Z, and it's like, no, he's awesome. He's like my favorite version of Gohan to play as an actor, because it's just so ludicrous. I love cartoonish over the top guys.
It's you to a T.
It's
like
a fun arc. It's so, it's superhero casting, so I love it. But it's like,
yeah, it's Kyle to a T. You always loved it. I think you've always been best when you're like over exuberant and just full of life. Like, again, Kamina being the prime example of that, really. Totally.
I love how inspirational and positive he is. I love the effect that his character in that show has had on the fans, not just being, oh, this is entertaining, it's a great show. It touches them on a personal level, almost a spiritual level. It's like, hey, this helps turn things around for people who are dealing with depression and all that stuff. And, you know, they may be on the brink of self-destruction, but it makes them rethink things and reevaluate and do a course correction. It's cool to see that, and it's great. It's like real, like tons of icing on a cake. I like, this cake is amazing, getting to do this as a career. But if I'm touching people beyond just making them laugh or saying, oh, this is a good diversion or a good distraction, that's wow.
Speaking personally for a minute, that was me. That I definitely was one of those people where it's like, the more I think back to how the things Kamina said and how what he was trying to do to Simone, it kind of affected me on that level too. It's probably kept me from a lot of dangerous spots. So definitely glad.
That's great.
Probably one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite series.
And a show that's well over 10 years now, and it shows no sign of going away either. Even though it's a one-season show with a couple of movies that we unfortunately never got to dub because they never, Aniplex wasn't able to secure any broadcast interest from anybody, which was odd. because the show was a huge hit on Sci-Fi Channel when it first aired, and they reran it several times. And then I think finally they showed it on Cartoon Network, but
They did. They had it on Toonami. I was there.
yeah, yeah. I wish they had that like from the beginning, because maybe who knows? Who knows? You know, the power of the fans. You know, and now with social media, with Twitter, you know, you get the pulse in real time of how the fans feel, and that helps guide things for sure. All these big studios are listening, and it's the best time right now to be a fan of pop culture and all that.
Indeed. We got another question from voice in the chat. Was there ever a line of a script that made you do a double take, look at the crew and go, "Really? I gotta read it like that"?
Yeah, it's probably stuff that's not safe for work, but you know, lines that tend to have double meanings. It's like, okay, this is how it actually means in the context of the story, but we're all snickering and like, and it takes a couple of takes because we don't get to rehearse this. We're blindsided by everything. We have to have good cold reading skills. You know, you show up and the director kind of tells you in bullet point form what happens in that episode, and then boom, you don't get your script ahead of time. There's the script. You got to read fast and commit to a performance and be able to tweak it on the fly. And the director has the unenviable or enviable, depending on your perspective, of putting all the puzzle pieces together and orchestrating those performances so that they sound natural. Since we do perform one actor at a time, it's not a group assemble record. As much as we would love that, that's the most fun. But because you're matching lip sync, that creates a whole nightmare of, well, we got 10 actors here, then they're all twiddling their thumbs waiting on one person to match the lip sync. Why don't we just pay the one person for their time so they can focus on that, and we'll bring everyone else in on their own individual sessions. And that's how we've been doing it for anime dubs and for video games.
Yeah, that actually goes to answer Kier's question in the chat, because he was asking about any VAs you wanted to work with, but kind of hard to really do that when you can't exactly work together per se.
Right. You are trusting the director who has been just fully entrenched in the project for weeks and or months at a time to review footage, to review performances. They push that onto the client. The client has notes. It's like, hey, let's do a pickup session, which means to pick up or re-record something that maybe the performance or maybe there's a tech issue, maybe there's a pronunciation issue when they catch it too late. You know, it's like, hey, you emphasized the wrong syllable here. Let's do this. And they'll bring the actors back in to re-record that and tweak as it goes along. But yeah, it would be way more fun to do it like cartoon style, which is called prelay. You're laying down the audio track before it's animated, because you get to record all together. Although now, you know, we're all recording from home because of that stupid virus. So we can't even be in the same room, or those who are willing to. Not everyone else is, you know. Sorry, immunocompromised. Don't wanna risk it. Thanks. I like living more than.
Yeah, I think you speak for everybody on that one right there.
pretty safe to assume, yeah.
But then at the same time now, thanks to, like you mentioned earlier, all the Twitch stuff and everything, you guys have been able to find other ways to get along and have fun together. So.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, everyone's like guesting on each other's streams and cross-pollinating the fandoms, you know, like multiple people are getting on other people's Discords and spreading the love there. People are contributing financially, which is really, really appreciated. It's a tough time when people have to double down on their spending and everything. But I think what's going on is there's maybe a little bit of a income to buy some things occasionally, or donating to a Twitch stream you like, for example, because there's no cons right now. So the money that people were saving to travel or pay for hotels or food and all that, they still have it, and they're like, well, we might as well do something. Let's support the artists and creators, because we know this is their livelihood too, and it's great to see people that either support with follows or subscriptions or donations or just word of mouth, just coming on board a Discord server or a private message or an email saying, hey man, I love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep going. Keep that head high. And it's like, oh man, the fans are coming in now. This is great.
There's a full circle moment for you.
True facts.
It's funny. Funny you mentioned we're going on the other stream because I remember you were just on.
To circle back to the.
Nope. Go ahead, Mike.
On how the with COVID has changed the way you actually do record the script a little bit before actually recording it and sending it off to the director or producer wherever you need to send your file now.
Right.
Should that help or hinder your process now?
I think the situation for me, other than physically being in the same building or the room as the engineer and director, the process is exactly the same for me. We had to upgrade. A lot of us had to upgrade with equipment or studio space. Some people invested in full-on recording booths. I'm very blessed in that I have a perfect walk-in closet situation where I live, and just some minimal acoustic foam treatment, and then the rest is just clothes and boxes and quilts, and it gets the engineer approval from multiple studios. I love being able to just roll out of bed and go into the closet and start recording, as opposed to having to schlep across town in traffic, and then on top of that, risk your health right now. The studios are open and they have really stringent protocol, which is fantastic. They're scheduling actors who are willing to come in multiple hours apart so they can wipe down the studio and sanitize everything, and that's great. But they're also being very cooperative with those of us who don't feel comfortable in going back in at this juncture. So we're able to go ahead and record from home. I do miss having that face-to-face interaction, of course. I mean, we're social creatures, but the convenient factor, man. It's like, hey, who needs pants? Who needs pants in a second? Voice acting is already great because it doesn't matter what you look like or what you're wearing. But man, if you're on home and no one's watching, hey,
Every day is Super Casual Friday.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I've been having a love-hate relationship with working from home and not having, having the commute. It is nice that I can just sit down, turn on the computer. So I get that.
Yes. Totally. It's like, I'm so chill, I'm so relaxed. I can just go back to bed. And sometimes I do. I'm not a morning person at all, so sometimes you got a 9 a.m. session. I'm a creature of the night, man. I go to bed at like 4 or 5 a.m. and then I know I have to get up at like 8, so I have time to eat breakfast and roll into the closet. Oh gosh, it's so far, it's so difficult. Fire it up, record for a couple hours, and then like, am I up for the day or do I want to go back to bed? It's like, get up, you lazy bum. Like, yeah, I suppose so.
Voice asked another question. Have you ever accidentally slipped into a character you've done while in everyday talk outside of work?
I don't know about accidentally. I think it comes naturally. So I don't know if that's scary or worse or whatnot. I mean, my wife has to put up with me going into voices all the time and ruining perfectly sweet romantic moments. So like, did I do that? And like, why are you? Come on. Can you just talk normal for 10 seconds? And it's like, no. Yeah, and then I'll count. I'll have the stopwatch going on the phone or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I can, yeah, and going to Kermit the Frog and walking in a winter wonderland. It's crazy.
Sounds like your wife and my wife would probably get along just fine, having to dealing with two idiots for husbands.
Yes. It's like, oh, you guys, your brain cells are floating away into the ether, but we love you anyway.
Voice had to follow up earlier. If we ever go back to before, could you ever revert back to that behavior scheduling or no pants forevermore?
Could I go back to it? Well, of course, I gotta adapt. I mean, it's my career. I'm gonna do what I have to because I this means the world to me. Being able to do what I do, because it's afforded me to be able to make a living doing something that I've been passionate about. And not, unfortunately, not everyone has that luxury or convenience or have been able to put in the blood, sweat, and tears because of their life circumstances to be able to follow a personal dream or goal of theirs. For me, I have been able to, and I feel very, very blessed to do so. And I always encourage people that are in a place in their life or at a job they don't like. They need to remind themselves that nothing is permanent. You know, it's never too late to decide. You know what? I need to try blankety blank. I want to try this, and see what happens. Otherwise, regret is a really bad feeling and tough to get over. You know.
I hear that. That's kind of why I started doing this, the whole internet thing myself. Is like nothing else was working. No job I could do made me feel any kind of satisfaction. If anything, it just kind of stressed me the hell out. So I decided, screw it. Even if this fails completely, I'm jumping in on this. And while yeah, I'm still kind of trying to make it work. I haven't given up yet.
Right. And, I'm at a point where, okay, what's my job skill set? Okay, well, I can play drums. I can voice act. If I lost that, what would I do? And like, I don't know. I don't have a business degree. I have a radio, TV, film, Bachelor of Arts, but like, I don't know what else I'd be doing.
Yeah, and as far as I can tell, radio hasn't exactly been using kind of personalities anymore. They've kind of dropped that. I know, so that's
I got away from it. So unless you're Joe Rogan or Howard Stern, you got to be doing podcasts practically just for the love of it, since so many aren't able to monetize. And that's where I was. That's why my podcast just wasn't growing in a way that I wanted to see it grow. And then life just kind of takes over. My co-host Steve became a dad 2 times over, and it's like, well, we'll just focus on our lives, Um, I mean, would I go back to podcasting? Yeah, sure. I mean, it still interests me. I love the power of radio. Give it to the power of the people to make an on-demand radio show about any topic you want, or to make a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel and devote that to your passion. That's something I didn't have when I was growing up. I didn't have the internet when I was growing up. I grew up in the 70s. So I've seen, before anime was even a word. I'm old.
Ain't we all?
I hear you there. I'm actually the oldest of this little crazy group here.
Yes.
Oh.
43.
43. I got you beat, bud. I'm 51.
You don't
I
look
understand that.
You don't look
Well, thank you. Thank you. I have a feeling if I were out there doing a 9 to 5, I would have looked like roadkill 20 years ago. It's like, oh, that guy's been living a rough life. I see other people, like people from my high school. I'll see where they are in life now. It's like, whoa, they're looking rough. Like maybe life didn't go the way they thought it would, or wanted it to, or whatnot.
One other thing I did want to bring up was that we mentioned you've been around since the early days of Dragon Ball, the early days of Funimation. How much has the recording process changed in those early days? Because we talked with Doug Stone a while back about that, and how much it's changed for him. Where was it when you started?
When I started, we were still, dubbing to tape, and the beep system was implemented with folks like Doug Stone, Richard Epcar, Wendy Lee. This was all before there were beeps to jumpstart, beep, 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 act. Before that, there wasn't even time code burned into the video, so because you couldn't exactly find the places where the characters would start and stop. So you just have to kind of guess. And then they just kind of put it in place, and they would use actual tape, broadcast tape, to do that. So if you blow a take, you'd have to wait for the computer and the machine to rewind to roughly the right frame, and Oh, it was nuts. But now with QuickTime, it's so fast. You blow a take, you can instantly start over. I would say it's so much easier now. You have different things like a rhythmo band. A rhythmo band is like a karaoke track. So you're watching and your script generates on screen across the bottom and hits this red line. That's where that word is said. So it's almost like a follow the bouncing ball, karaoke type of thing. And I love that the most actually, because I can watch the screen and I can see my script and it's rolling along at the same pace that it's supposed to be spoken at. Not everyone likes that. Some people, can't stand the beeps. I mean, these great actors with great experience are like, nope, I just can't do it. Dubbing is a technical skill. It's just you either catch on to it or maybe it doesn't really register. It doesn't mean you're a bad actor. It's just a skill set that you have to have. Obviously, the industry has changed because of the internet, piracy, studios going under, the anime becoming a worldwide partnership sort of deal where studios in North America and Japan are co-producing things, unlike in the old days. The popularity seems to wax and wane as time goes on. Now we're on an uphill climb, which is great. Uh, I think it will never truly go away. I think we'll always have Pokemon. I think we'll always have Dragon Ball. I think we're always going to have anime success stories throughout the years, the fandoms, and certainly the generations. And because we're in the social media age, we're able to spread that love and passion to more people quickly, and it's considered cool. When I grew up, that was like nerd. You're a nerd. All that stuff, and then in the past 10 years or so, it's become cool to be a nerd, and people who would come out of and they'd come out and just admit like, all right, I used to be the bully jock, and now it's like, okay, I watch Dragon Ball when I work out. Okay, you got me. It's like, it's not a dirty word, man. Everyone's passionate about something. You got people that go to sports games with war paint on and acting, they do cosplay in their own way. So
yes,
as long as no one's getting hurt.
Speaking of which, I'm a big Doctor Who fan myself.
Oh, a Whovian. Nice.
Oh yes.
So right on video, you can see me in a fez and scarf at the moment.
Okay.
He showed us earlier. He's definitely wearing them. He is the Whovian of our group.
Very nice, very nice.
Oh yeah. Voice asks a good question here, and we normally ask in general tips for voice acting, but he's got a specific one. Any tips or tricks for making sure your vocals stay in good shape?
I don't really do any vocal warm-ups, although anyone who's been doing this for a while will tell you it's wise to do that. Whether you're singing scales like mama, me, and you're on a commute, for example, to a studio or anywhere, driving to the grocery store, to warm up in some sort of way. Maybe don't have certain drinks before you start recording. That will help, not as opposed to hinder. Dairy products, if you put milk and cream in your coffee, that's going to create phlegm and mouth noise. Soda does the same thing. You're going to need to have some room temperature water, preferably cold water. I prefer it, but at least water in some form to help get rid of those smackies that your mouth produces and that the mic picks up. If you start screaming and it hurts, stop that. Don't keep going. I've learned that when people start screaming and the director says, all right, you're starting to lose your voice, we're just going to call this right now. We'll bring you back in, let you heal up and all that, because that happens. But you can also use some stuff to kind of, not necessarily cheat your way through sessions, but to maintain your voice. Things like Chinese cough syrup, throat coat, hot tea, honey, lozenges. I mean, there's all sorts of doodads out there to just a Google search away to have in your arsenal to make sure that your voice stays going on there. Another thing called Singer Saving Grace. Tastes terrible, but boy, it lubricates the vocal cords, gets the funk right off them, especially if you get up early in the morning and you've got that morning classic rock DJ voice that sounds 2 octaves lower than you normally do. It's Tuesday. And then you're like, oh, I got to voice a teenager today. Whoops. I've done that. I've cheated, and I blew my voice out recording Ryu one day. I had to be Kiba the next morning. I sounded like Kiba had a bad cigarette habit. And so, yeah, they said, go home. My voice was trashed.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you can't fake it. You can't fake it. And obviously, if you're sick, don't go around other people. And this has become so prevalent with the, wear a mask, wash your hands, all the stuff that we should have been doing as a society anyway. Maybe not the mask thing, but at least being more conscious of germs and everything you touch and everything like that. It's like, okay, I wish theaters and grocery stores and restaurants were doing all this before. If anything, maybe we'll all get less sick.
Be honest, wishful thinking, but it's nice to dream.
True facts. Yeah, I mean, there's people that they want to be dumb and tempt fate, and like, well, that's up to you. The Darwin Awards.
Yeah, no, trust me, I can assure you we're not those people, because we had a scare at our school recently. One of my son's classmates was tested positive. He was wearing his mask, and thankfully, because of that, when we got tested, we came up negative. We dodged the bullet.
Right. I mean, there's always going to be an exception. Someone who did do everything right, and they still caught it. And that just means this is real, guys. This is serious. This is scary. There's no political agenda going on. And when people politicize it, it's so polarizing. And people, start writing off family members. And it's just sad to see that something like this health crisis is, done this and split people so divisively.
Thank you for saying what I've been trying to get out here for some time now.
Yeah.
Someone finally said it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, totally. It's your right, man. If you don't want to wear a mask and endanger yourself or others, yeah, that's your right. But I have a right to protect myself. And honestly, if you're wearing the mask out there, you're doing it for their benefit. Because what if you got it and you didn't know you had it? You're saving their lives.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's get off that. We don't need that set. We don't need to get to that kind of thing all the time. Besides, we're here to talk about the fun stuff, the anime,
animu.
Yeah.
Life, animu.
Angie, do you have any other questions? Because you've been sitting there for a while.
Yeah, we're having trouble getting thinking headwise. I was gonna ask, I guess, I guess what characters or what like sort of like types of personalities do you do you gravitate towards and enjoy playing the most, it seems? No.
Well, I know that it's not really up to me in terms of, who I play. I audition for, a wide range of characters because I have a wide range, so I can play different ages and different backgrounds. So, I mean, I just, this sounds like a cliche cop-out answer, but I just love the chance to play at all. Sometimes I'll get called to work on a project where I'm nothing but background voices. And then I get the fun challenge of making them all sound different. And that feels great, because I didn't even have to audition. It's like directors have worked with me enough and they know that it's like, hey, we can knock out these 10 background roles with one actor. And they'll continue to do that. And, there's the Keith Silversteins and the Richard Epcars and the Kirk Thorntons out there who are all very, very talented people, but they also have a wide range. So they're able to be utility actors, as they're known. So I love any chance to play, no matter if it's a bit part character, an episodic character, a lead character, which those seem to evade me a lot. I don't get a lot of big roles. I mean, I'm blessed that they're fan favorites and they are iconic and they touch a big piece of the fandom, and I'm very blessed because of that. But speaking as an actor, I love anything that, gives me a chance to just chew on, something that's further away from me as a person. So obviously being a villain or, being Eisen, doing something that you have that smooth sort of voice that's mysterious and seductive, but you don't know if he's good or he's evil. And like, well, maybe it's creepier because it does sound somewhat friendly and seductive. I don't know. Or, you multifaceted characters like Gohan has been really, really fun because he's naive and just innately good and a good father and smart and good husband, and he's strong and he's a nerd. He's got all those different sides to him. So, yeah. Anything that has a little more depth to the character, there's a little more to bite off and chew there. That's always fun. I will never say no.
Indeed. So with that said, I think we're getting close to the wrap up point. I know we've got a couple minutes left, but there's always two questions I always like to ask with every interview.
Okay.
Number one, fun behind the scenes stories. There's always those few moments in the booth where things just go awry or things get silly. Any of those kind of stories that you can recall?
Well, sometimes you try to do the one cheek sneak, because you eat before the session and then suddenly you feel gassy and you're like, how subversive can I be in this session? Can I hide it enough? Like if I cough loud enough, will the mic pick it up? Or, and sometimes, you just get caught red-handed or red-butted, I guess, because you're like, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn calls it bonus Foley. It's like, okay, I'm jump over this scene, and then here, this character happens to have a lot of gas, so it's like fart. And it's always fun to kind of leave one of those for we call it a bomb. Like leave a bomb for the next actor coming in. It's like, oh, who was in here? And it doesn't matter. I'm not saying, it's a guy only thing. Oh no. No one can escape. There are bodily functions, ladies and gentlemen. We are human. And there's hours and hours of outtakes, and I call it blackmail audio. That if this stuff got out there, we probably never work again.
Which almost happened once, I might add.
Whoops. Yeah. So gotta watch that. You never know when the mic is on. So if you walk into a recording booth, just assume it is, even if it's not, because you never know.
Yeah. I think that's a good general rule of thumb right there. So, and with that, the last question I always like to ask is, I know you can't reveal everything because NDAs, you gotta love them, but are there any upcoming projects you can share with us? Anything new coming out that we should be paying attention to?
Stuff and things.
Our two favorite topics.
Yeah, right. Best one ever. I don't have anything coming down the pipe that I can talk about yet, other than more anime, more live action dubs on Netflix, more games. Obviously, when I post about them on social media, then it's safe because usually it's been released. So, and sometimes those release dates totally escape me, and then someone on Twitter will go, "Great job, is so and so." Like, oh, that's out. I'm getting so old now that I have to take notes during my recording session. Who is this character? What is the project? What is the name? And I'll save it. And then when it comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. Was it? Oh, yeah. They get so secretive. Speaking of NDAs, I didn't know I was recording for Red Dead Redemption 2. I had no idea. And then I'm on there.
Gotta love that.
Just
So
a
we just have to
background
watch-
crowd character. It was nuts.
So we just have to watch all the things and try and play, spot the voice actor and see who.
Which we do every week on our
Blink.
thing.
Blink and you'll miss me. I'm in the Final Fantasy VII remake. It's just a couple of background characters. That's
True,
like, who's
true.
going to say no to that, though? I got a Final Fantasy game text one time from the head of a studio going, "You want to work on Final Fantasy?" It's like I'm going to say no. I get called in, and I had 20 minutes of, there he is. Okay, great, go home. Like, oh, man, this is the best gig ever.
True fact, actually, since we mentioned the spot the voice actor, we do a watch party once or twice a week on our Discord server. And one of the things we always do, by the end of the first episode, all right, who played who? And
right.
One of our fans nails it almost every time. Like he has he has a whole list of okay, this person was played by this person, this person was played by this person, this person was played by this person, and I'm just sitting there going, you gotta be kidding me! How did you spot that one?
The fans know way more than even the cast does. And, dare I say, fan sites are a much richer resource of making of and trivial info and background stories than even some of the official sites out there. The fans, bless them, man, they know they've been studying this stuff. And, before there was an internet, you just didn't know how widely spread it was. It was like the Scooby-Doo gang or the Transformers voice actors, they had fans, but they didn't necessarily have a way, an outlet to reach them. And now, people that weren't even on the convention scene or social media are able to connect with their fans. And it's a beautiful thing. It's so great to see, Optimus Prime out there and, Megatron, Frank Welker, Freddy from Scooby-Doo, and all these cartoon legends that are out there as well. So good times.
Indeed. Well, I believe that is going to be our cue to wrap things up on your end here, because I know you wanted to get this done, and you wanted to be done at a certain time, and we respect that. So.
Oh, that's cool.
But we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, Kyle. It has been an awesome pleasure to relive this moment of our history, and hopefully you'll have more. By the way, guys, make sure you guys follow Kyle on Twitter at Kyle Hebert. Also on Twitch, twitch.tv/go. I forgot the name. I had it in my head a minute ago. Gohan with your bad self.
Gohan with your own bad self. You got to put own in there. Gohan with your own bad self.
Okay, yeah. That's why I had a hard time remembering. I remember it was a really fun thing with it. Yeah, Gohan with your own bad self. Go look that up. Well, I'll have links. If you watch the VOD later, I will have links to all of his social media, and I'll even put the Discord in there. So make sure you join in there. I've seen it. It's a very active community. You definitely want to jump in on that. So But Kyle, thank you so much for joining us, and you have yourself a fantastic day, my friend.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you for doing what you do and keeping people engaged and interactive and their minds off the horrors of the real world. And we can celebrate the goodness, the good side of humanity. And thank you all. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity, and stay safe.
You as well, my friend. Take care.
Peace and love.
All right. So there you have it, guys. Kyle Hebert. It is again. This is a full circle. That was a full circle moment, at least for me. Obviously, Angie and Mike came in late after the fact, but for me, this was a full circle moment. 10+ years ago, we got the chance to talk to that man, and how much has changed since then, and he is still as awesome and as cool as he's ever been. He does not remember the interview. We made it clear. I actually asked him about it before the show, Cure. He had no memory of the Rising Sun podcast or the interview that we did. He was definitely, again, did not change anything. He's still just as cool as ever. But before we wrap things up, I unfortunately have to bring the room down a little bit. We have a bit of an announcement to make regarding the future of the Enemy Maverick. Well, only down a little bit. Here's the thing. As you guys might have noticed, Mike's connection was, a little weak. His audio wasn't coming through, and he couldn't even turn on his webcam because if he tried to, it would be still frames and barely any audio. It was bad. So, we were talking before the show, and he has decided that after his next pick on the Mavericks, he's gonna step back. He's gonna step back from the Mavericks, and we'll have to move on without him for a while. He may come back. This is not a permanent thing. He may come back, but we don't know how long that's going to be, and there's a good chance it may be for a long time. So I'm going to do what I did when we brought Mike in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, we are opening auditions for the Enemy Mavericks. Here's how this is going to work. Want you all, and for anyone watching the VOD, this applies to you guys as well. I want you to go onto Anime News Network or whatever anime-related news site you can. Grab a news story, something that would be something we would normally cover, specific announcements, certain updates, maybe even a douchebag of the day if you really want to get weird. And I want you to present to us that news story as we would, or at least something akin to how we would do it. Share the story, give your opinions on it, everything like that, and I want you to send it to me. send me in simple MP3 file. Those are easy to send across Discord. I'm not hard to find. I will evaluate them, and whoever I think is the best will get the job. Now, I want to make this clear to everybody listening. Mike is not being fired. All right? He's in no trouble.
No. I am not. Nope. I am voluntarily stepping back. I've got to take care of my this known before, but yes, she has cancer. It's a 2-year road with chemo now, so I'm stepping back. So it's gone a little crazy for me at the moment. Like I said, I'm kind of an old man here, so I can't quite be where I was with this, and I don't want to drag the show down any more than I've already have here.
You have not dragged the show down. Don't even say that.
Hey, you got to do what It's like you got to do what. It's like real life. It's like this is a family, or whatever. They're more important. Deal with them. It's like the social engagements like this can always wait. No hard feelings.
Exactly. Yeah. You take care of you, but you have not dragged the show down. It has been a lot of fun working with you, Mike. But yeah, Kira, this is basically, because it's going to be, he said, 2 years of chemo and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is likely essentially a permanent situation. But what we are doing is he will be still considered a guest in the server. He will still be joining us for other things, and he may pop in every once in a while. He may come in for a visit every once in a blue moon if the mood strikes him. But he needs to take care of himself, and we've got a show to do. And you can see right here, his connection's barely holding as it is, and that's only with just audio. So we're going to have to do something new. But that gives you guys an opportunity, and I think there's a few of you out there who could pull it off. So I want to see some auditions. If you're willing to join us as a new member of the Anime Mavericks, send your auditions, and let's see what you guys come up with. Go on ANN and everything like that. We'll see how this plays out. I'll make an official announcement video for the RVT YouTube channel in the future, and we'll see what happens from there. But wanted to get that out there. That being said, this was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you guys for coming out. If you enjoyed tonight's show and you haven't done so already, make sure you give us a follow to keep up with all of our streams and more. And if you can't subscribe, get access to our exclusive Twitch emotes, our VIP Discord channels, and our loyalty badges. And right now, we're nearing the end of September, so if you want to do it, now's the time to get those subs in. They're at a discount right now. Get them cheap. Get them cheap while you can, because on sale. Subs on sale. Speaking of Discord, if you haven't already joined our Discord server, consider doing so. We're very active on there. And while you're at it, give us a server boosto. Better audio quality for the streams and a whole bunch of benefits for you guys. As for everything else, all our commands are located down in the description and the About section below. Learn them, use them, love them, and they will love you. But in the meantime, we want to thank you guys for joining us as always here on RVTV. We are your Anime Mavericks, and we will continue to bring you all the anime news, reviews, and interviews that you crave. On the Shades,
I'm Yummy Angie.
And I'm Mike Shell.
And we'll see you guys next time. Rock on!
Special thanks to my patrons like Voice and a Frozen Traveler. Subscribe today to make these streams even better.